who should actually buy the LG 5.5 cuffed smart top-load washer, who can safely walk away, and does the price make sense for an everyday household? If you're still on the fence, those are the exact questions I'm trying to answer today. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent a few weeks digging through specs, scouring forums, and watching owners talk about the day-to-day reality of using a top-load machine that promises smart features, so let's get into what matters when you actually drop a load of laundry. First off, the biggest hesitation most shoppers have with a top-load washer is whether the extra capacity is worth the extra price tag. A 5.5 cuffed drum sounds massive on paper, but the real test is whether you can truly fit those weekend project blankets, oversized comforters, and bulkier sports gear without cramming them in. In the homes I've looked at, families of 3 to 4 with at least one child tend to hit the sweet spot. They can toss a king-size duvet, a couple of bath towels, and a basket of everyday clothes into a single cycle and still have room for the water to circulate. If you live alone, or have a very small household, you'll likely find the drum oversized, and you might end up running half-full loads just to avoid wasting water, something that defeats the high-efficiency design. Now, let's talk about the smart side. LG's eZDispense system promises automatic detergent dosing, and the LCD dial gives you a quick visual of the cycle status. In practice, this works best when you have a consistent detergent brand and stick to the recommended amount. I noticed a pattern in user discussions. People who use the built-in dispenser see a slight improvement in how evenly the soap spreads, especially on heavy soil loads. However, if you tend to switch between liquid and powder detergents or like to add fabric softener in a separate compartment, the dispenser becomes a little finicky. It can clog if you overshoot the dosage, and cleaning it out requires a couple of minutes that many consider an extra chore. So, the convenience is real, but it's most useful for those who want a set-and-forget routine rather than a detergent tweaker. The inverter direct drive motor is where LG really tries to differentiate itself from older top-load models. Because there are fewer moving parts, the spin cycle is noticeably quieter. Think library-level hush compared to the rumble you hear from a typical agitator machine. That matters if your laundry space is near a living area or if you've got kids napping upstairs. The quiet operation also means you can run the turbo wash cycle. LG's claim of cutting wash time by up to 30% without waking the house. In real-world tests, the turbo wash took about 30 minutes to clean a load of heavily soiled work shirts, and the results were on par with a standard 45-minute cycle on a conventional machine. The trade-off is that the faster cycle uses a little more water per minute, so absolute water savings dip slightly compared to a slow, low-spin wash. If you're laser-focused on the lowest possible utility bill, you might still prefer a slower cycle on a less expensive model. Energy efficiency is another selling point. The washer carries the Energy Star label, which translates to roughly a 15% reduction in electricity use compared to older top-load machines. For most families, that works out to a few dollars per year. Nothing dramatic, but it adds up if you have multiple large loads each week. The real value comes from the combination of the inverter motor and the smart water level sensors that adjust fill volume based on load weight. Those sensors are accurate enough that you can see a subtle drop in the water meter after a few weeks of normal use. If you're living in a region with high electricity rates, that modest saving could be a deciding factor. Another practical angle is the smart diagnosis feature. Plug a smartphone into the washer's Wi-Fi and you can run diagnostics that pinpoint error codes or suggest troubleshooting steps. For the average buyer, this is a nice safety net. Instead of calling a repair tech for a flickering display, you can often resolve the issue yourself by following on-screen prompts. The downside is that the app sometimes lags or disconnects, especially if your home Wi-Fi is overloaded. You'll need a stable connection to get the most out of it. Otherwise, you might spend the same amount of time on the phone with a service rep as you would without the feature. So, who should definitely consider this machine? If you have a medium to large family, regularly wash bulky items, and value a quieter operation, the LG 5.5 cuffed top load checks a lot of boxes. It's also a good pick for tech-savvy households that already enjoy using smart appliances to streamline chores. The combination of a large drum, efficient motor, and a fairly intuitive LCD interface makes day-to-day laundry feel less like a chore and more like a routine you can automate. Conversely, who should skip it? Single occupants, couples without children, or anyone who prefers the classic agitator style for particularly tough stains might find the capacity excessive and the dispenser unnecessary. If